Guys, do I have some special news for you today? It has to do with this truck right here. I'm sharing my laptop screen with you, and it's the upcoming 2021 Ram Rebel TRX. It's the supercharged, fire-breathing off-road truck that's going head-to-head against the Ford Raptor. And here we have exclusive 2 leaked images of a prototype interior, gauges, and also the controls. In this video, I'm going to show you those images and see what we can learn from it about this upcoming truck, because we don't know a lot of official information about it. So this is our glimpse into the future. So let's dig right into it. And here we have an image from an anonymous source with an access to what appears to be a prototype of a TRX. Here you see a gauge cluster of the truck, and there's a couple of things going on here immediately. So on the left, the tachometer, you can see it goes to about, like 5,700 RPM, and then the red line starts. And that's telling because it's very, very similar to what the Dodge Challenger Hellcat RPM range is. It kind of maxes out around 5,700 RPM, and all of the information we have unofficially so far tells us that the TRX, the supercharged truck, will have a 6.2 liter supercharged V8. Basically the same Hellcat motor. We don't know exact power numbers. We think it might be 707 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque, but we don't quite know that for sure. But this kind of helps us a little bit with the RPM range on this new gauge cluster. Of course, you can see the TRX logo at the top in big red letters. But here on the left, you see a menu. And at first, it looks kind of normal, but then you see this little truck symbol, like a truck jumping. And then below it, kind of a little symbol, what looks to be a shock absorber. And I think what this is telling us is that this truck has configurable modes for different shock settings and kind of different driving modes. And I'll get to that in a second. Then on the right, of course, the speedometer, which maxes out at around 120 miles an hour. I think if you have this big, heavy truck, you don't want to probably be going over 120 miles an hour, otherwise you might take off, become very unstable. But as any proper supercharged truck might be doing, this truck is low on fuel, so somebody was having a lot of fun with this truck and probably driving it a lot, and it needs some fuel. I hope they have a bigger fuel tank for this. And here in the center, you can see a quarter-mile timer. An SRT division of FCA, including Dodge, Jeep, and now Ram, has been doing this for years. They give you timers, they give you performance pages, ways to measure your performance, and here it says drag timers. So you can kind of measure your performance at the drag strip. Although this giant truck that appears to be wider than the regular Ram 1500, taller, bigger tires, I don't think it's necessarily a drag strip machine. It's more of a desert runner at high speed. But, of course, everybody loves performance, right? So if you want to line up against the Raptor at the drag strip, you can do it, and you can also measure your performance. And this is the control panel that's right by the right leg or the right knee of a driver. And first of all, we can see several things here. Launch control mode, which is very interesting. Then, of course, there's kind of a crawl control button on the left, traction control off, but finally TRX mode selector button. This is my opinion, this is my guess, that you will be able to select through several different modes. And I think the benchmark for this is the Ford Raptor, because Ford Raptor is one of the most configurable trucks of them all. It has several off-road modes. You can control the stiffness of the shocks, sort of how the steering feels, how the accelerator and the transmission, and all the shift maps. It's one of the most configurable trucks, the Raptor is. And I think what appears here is that the Ram Rebel TRX, the high-performance truck, is trying to also have a lot of configurability. We don't know exactly what shocks this truck will be using. I'll show you some images of a prototype in a second. But the rumor is it's going to be Bilsteins, but not the same Bilstein shocks available on the regular Rebel. Very special shocks. And if this is true, if these images are actually true, and you could actually modify your suspension settings, that means they could be like active shocks, which means there could be a valve similar to the Fox Life valve technology. The rumors say that Ram is likely not using Fox shocks. We'll have to wait and see exactly what's going to happen. The truck is supposed to debut in June of 2020, or maybe a little bit later, maybe July, maybe late summer. We'll have to wait and see. But if this is true, it may have live shocks, which means the truck computer knows what the truck is doing. You know, the steering angle, the brake position, the accelerator position, speed, etc. And it can actually adjust the stiffness of the shocks and give you the best ride. I think it's very important for a high-tech truck. There's something really obvious about this control panel. This is normally where the dial shifter would be on a Ram truck. Let me show you. This right here is a Power Wagon, a brand new 2020 Power Wagon, and it's the same size panel in the dash by your right knee, and this is where your rotary dial for your transmission is. And of course, Power Wagon has front and rear lockers, a sway bar disconnect, this hill descent control, axle lock. And if we go back to this prototype image of the TRX, there's no transmission shifter here. So what does that mean? Well, it looks like it means that the TRX will have more of a traditional shifter on the center console between the driver and the passenger. Or it also might have a column shift, but I doubt it. I think it could be the center console mounted shifter. So that's very interesting already. Another thing that's very interesting is that it has four-wheel drive auto button right here on the TRX prototype image. It's different from the regular Rebel. So what do we have here? So we have obviously four-wheel drive automatic. So it acts like an all-wheel drive system. It's rear wheel biased, supposed to be. And then when the rear wheels slip, it will send power to the front axle and actually transfer power and help you get out of a sticky situation, or maybe on a highway, on a wet highway, or maybe snowy condition. Of course, 4 high, where it's mostly like a four-wheel drive system, a traditional 4x4, where you have power going to both front and rear. And 4 low, for slow speed driving, so transfer case is there. I wonder how the crawl control system would work, if it's actually will take the truck up, not just down, because the Raptor does have their trail control system. So that's going to be interesting. And of course, you'll be able to launch your TRX in the best possible way. Although in previous years, when I tested the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk with the launch control system and the Hellcat engine, the system is a little, it's picky. You know, you have to be on a perfectly level surface, not tilted side to side, or not tilted up and down. You know, you have to be up to temperature. You have to apply maximum brake pressure to kind of launch the vehicle properly. So probably it will have the same feature if this is true. A Ram 1500 Limited Dash. This is the controller on the Ram 1500 currently, 2020. You can also see a four-wheel drive auto, 4 high and 4 low. So it looks like the transfer case the TRX might be using is similar to the 1500 transfer case, except you can see 2-wheel drive button right here on the Ram 1500 Limited, in this case, a regular truck. If you go back to the TRX, it has an axle lock, so no 2-wheel drive option. It means that Ram potentially doesn't want you to be in 2-wheel drive, because if you stomp on it, and if you do have 700 horsepower or more at your disposal, you will break those rear tires loose. So they want you, it appears to be in automated mode, where if the slip is detected, it'll send some power to the front and help you drive in the most high performance way possible. Here's another image of a current Rebel interior. This is nothing new. I just wanted to show that to you for reference. Here's another Rebel interior, and we anticipate something similar on the TRX. I can't quite say, but I think red stitching, red accents, I think all of those are very, very possible and doable. Here I wanted to quickly share with you some concept sketches. So FCA and RAM are doing a design competition where young designers can submit their designs. And they have several images to inspire young designers. And this is some of the stuff they published on their website. This is FCA. This potentially what the face of the TRX may look like with kind of a little bit more squinty headlights. And I think it could be a good look. Once again, this is unofficial. This is my opinion that the TRX may have a face like this. Or a face similar to this, although we don't know exactly. It won't be dramatically different from the current Rebel because they need to reuse some of the components, at least maybe the taillights. So really quickly, let's go over the prototype again. And you've seen this video before from us. These images are about 2 months old. This truck is crew cab configuration, but it has wide fenders. It has what appears to be a 35-inch tall tire. And these are Goodyear Wranglers, but not Duratrax. A little bit more, all around, all-terrain. And you can kind of see the squinty lights. So I'm thinking the Rebel TRX will have kind of a different grille, maybe just kind of leaping out and just kind of leaping out at you in a more aggressive fashion. Some of these shots show the independent front suspension, kind of really large A-arms, look to be aluminum A-arms. And here from the side you can see once again 6-bolt hubs, big brakes, big tires. The truck sits much higher than any other factory Ram truck that I've seen. Underneath you could see skid plates. In the back, a dual exhaust system, so no side exhaust on this prototype that was caught in public a couple months ago. You can see kind of standard taillight signature with the LED. And the exhaust pipes, these outlets appear to be about 3 inches. So I'm sure there'll be a Mopar upgrade for this to maybe a larger exhaust system, maybe even louder than ever. So we'll have to wait and see. And it looks like the spare tire matches the tires on the truck. So those are all very interesting things. Once again, we cannot see the shocks very well. We cannot see a lot of the detail from this prototype. But we can see that the shock is ahead of the axle, which is very similar to the current Rebel and 1500 Ram trucks. So guys, I hope this gives you another glimpse. Once again, this is exclusive to TFL Truck and TFL Studios. And we always appreciate you coming to TFL Studios on YouTube or TFLtruck.com to learn all the latest and greatest. And as far as I know, you won't find these interior shots anywhere else. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.